Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 233.
233, welcome to 2025.
Welcome indeed, people. Happy New Year. We hope you've had a wonderful festive break, a lovely, lovely restful time, and that you're continuing to rest in January with some top-notch podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully ours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Well, it should be. Yeah. If you've come to this later in the middle of the year, hello. We still love you. How are you, Nick?
I'm fine.
You're fine.
Fine.
You're hesitating. What?
Yes. Ticking along. I'm trying to remember what to say and how these things work.
Yes, indeed. When we take a break, we go, who are you?
Yes. What's going on? How does this work?
No, it's all been good. We hope everyone's been enjoying the revisited episodes that we put out over the festive break, where we went back and revisited episodes 1 and 2 of the Poisoner's Cabinet, because those are the first ever ones we did when we were absolutely terrified. They've gone down very well. We've got such lovely comments from people, and it's a lovely little series that we can continue if people are interested. So if there are episodes, older episodes, early ones, maybe something glitchy is on one of the episodes,
Yeah.
if you want us to revisit and redo it, or there's new information, we'd be happy to consider it. Well, you can leave us a comment letting us know which ones you'd like us to delve into.
Yes.
Yes. Any poisonings this week, Nick?
I don't believe so. I think everyone's in a relatively jolly after Christmasy sort of mood.
But it's sort of January. It's
January.
dark and dank and people are like, bleh.
Maybe next week. Isn't that like the miserable week next week?
The most miserable time of the year. Well, everyone's supposed to be like, oh, it's January. There's
January.
nothing. There's nothing to look forward to apart from spring.
And this podcast.
And this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, so don't be sad. Well, the Poisonous Cabinet listeners are never sad because they have this. It keeps them hanging by a thread.
Exactly.
To be fair, we're hanging by a thread as well. Well, speaking of hanging by a thread, but absolutely thriving while you're doing it, making the thread really work for it, I figured it's time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Yes, absolutely. And this is going to take a while this week.
It's a bumper crop.
Yes, indeed. So, first of all, we must say thank you very much to Meg Rydell,
To Helen Folks.
to Rebecca Norwood,
To Anna Favarges. Hopefully I'm doing that
yes.
right, sorry.
to Cartier,
To Carl Ziegler Jr.
to Emily the Trash Panda.
To Raccoon Commander. The raccoon and the panda should get together.
Absolutely, yes. To Shauna D.
To 30, Flirty and Surviving.
To Lula G.
To Kai the Magic Dragon.
To Victoria L. Vest.
To Juniper Berry.
To Evan.
To Red King 1456.
To Hannah, not a cake poisoning baker.
To Occasional Warlock.
To Dirt Knees.
Dirt Knees.
D.
D.
Knees.
Denise.
Denise.
Oh, Denise.
_knees.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Perhaps they just have two knees.
Du
Knees.
To Kitty Mannion.
And to Natalia N.
To the Golden Cadillac.
Boo.
Boo. Not you. No, the drink.
To Felicity McCready.
And finally, to Josie Cannon.
Marvellous. Probably
Thank you.
Butchered all those pronunciations, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, you delicious, delicious, sexy Patreon subscribers. Thank you to everyone who has joined us over the festive period. We had a flurry of new members who joined us because these are great gifts and people want to be with us over the festive period. We have had a lot of fun on Patreon over the season.
I can't remember. I wasn't there.
We told some spooky stories, we told some Christmassy stories, we had some crazy antics from PC Morris, we shared our bloopers, the outtakes, some of which are pure gold. If you haven't listened to them Patreons yet, just go and just sit back with a cup of coffee and just enjoy those. And then this week as well, you told a lovely story.
I did.
You did?
Did I?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it lovely?
Yeah, it was Tuesday, I can't remember. No.
Oh, it was the vampire woman.
It was the Queen of Vampires.
The Queen of the Vampire Women.
She wasn't actually a vampire, but the press called her that.
Yes.
But it was a great story.
It was a good story.
Really intriguing. A woman, normal life, and then suddenly decides life of crime.
Life of crime for me.
Life of crime for her. It was a great story. If you want to know what the hell we're talking about and who all these people are that we just called out the names of, please do consider joining us on patreon.com/The Poisoner's Cabinet, where you get extra episodes from us every single week, as well as a host of bonus content. It's a really wonderful community as well, full of lovely people and lovely place where people can go and chat to each other and comment on all the episodes. So do consider joining us. 2 different tiers on there, and you can gift them, and you can also download a load of digital merch from us. Well, Nick, are you ready?
I think so.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison.
Why not?
Oh, we can drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Let's do that too.
Shall we go with the first one?
Okay.
Oh, it's the new year. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Let's
Hurrah.
drink heavily. It is my story this week, and we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. My story this week. So this week's secret ingredient is, Nick?
Yes.
Honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
Now, there were a few options this week.
Like honey.
But as soon as I said honeycomb, you
Like
went...
combs.
Yeah. You've been known to love a comb.
I love a comb.
Now, honeycomb. Honeycomb, so many possibilities.
Tasty.
We have honey in a lot of cocktails.
Yes,
A lot
we
of honey
do.
syrup.
Yeah.
I enjoy a bit of honeycomb. We had a debate in the pub the other day about honeycomb is cinder toffee and cinder toffee is honeycomb,
It's the same
apparently.
thing?
But it's not the actual honeycomb from the hives.
No, that's different.
No, but different in terms of confectionery.
Yes. No.
Yes. Yeah,
Same-
no, it is.
The same in terms of confectionery.
No, it's not the same as the hive stuff. In the hive, you have the honeycomb with the honey, right?
Yes.
It's not the same as... You don't put that in a crunchy.
No, that would be mad.
Exactly.
'Cause
That's
made
what I'm
of-
saying. It's
made of
different.
wax.
That's why I'm saying it's different. But you can sometimes eat a bit of honeycomb, can't you?
If you like eating wax,
I do quite like
then
eating
yes,
wax.
you can eat as much honeycomb as you like.
Wait a minute. I got a jar of honey once and there was like a honeycomb thing in it. Should I not have eaten that honeycomb?
It'd be way it is waxy.
It was quite waxy.
Yeah.
I
'Cause
enjoyed it.
Because it's wax.
Should I not have eaten that?
Oh, you can. I think you can. Don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna, don't eat it by the bucket. And don't eat
Don't eat an entire hive of it.
don't start eating your tea lights.
I ate it without questioning
Because
it
they're
at
made of
all.
something different.
Okay. Oh, something for me to
But
think
it's
about.
not going to kill you.
Hopefully not. Yeah, well, I'm still here.
You're still here, so yeah,
Still
there we
here,
go.
buzzing slightly. Oh, well, with honeycomb as a
Yes.
secret ingredient, Nick, what have you come up with?
We're going to have a wild honey.
A wild honey.
Wild honey.
Wild honey.
Where
Oh,
were they?
nice.
Yeah.
I was like, where you have the wild flowers and the bees.
Probably something like that.
Probably
yes.
something like that.
Like that, yes.
Wonderful. I'm in the mood for a cocktail. I think it is high time for us to buzz into the Poisoner's Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm, so we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, Nick, the wild honey.
Wild honey.
Now, it doesn't look like I thought it would look. It's creamy
Okay.
looking.
Yes.
And there's some stuff in it.
Yes.
There's just stuff floating in. I can't
Stuff.
describe it other than there's just some stuff.
There's some stuff.
It looks chocolatey. I think I know what you've done suddenly.
Don't know what you mean.
Should I say or should we taste and then see what happens? Nick seems to have crumbled something on the top of this drink, and I'm pretty sure I know what it is. But yeah, it looks all creamy and interesting, and well, I guess we should drink it.
We probably should.
All right then.
some
Well,
point.
Merry Christmas, Merry
Merry
New
Christmas,
Year.
Merry New
Let's
Year's.
dive in. Okay, hello.
Ooh.
Oh, hello. Oh, strong.
Wow.
Ish, string and creamy and confusing. Does it taste of anything?
Yes.
Does it? I'm not opposed to it. It stings the nostrils in a good way, but I'm not tasting a lot of stuff apart from alcohol, and I'm not opposed to that.
There is alcohol in there.
Okay, well, I'm going to try a bit of the crumbly stuff now. Hang on a second. Yep, alcohol. Hang on. Oh, okay. Is there a crunchy in this?
There may be bits of crunchy.
You crumbled up a crunchy and put it
I
up
bought Crunchy Rocks.
Crunchy rocks.
Yeah.
Not going to get those.
Yeah, in the bag.
Now, Nick famously loves a crunchy.
Love a crunchy.
You love a honeycomb / cinder toffee.
Yes,
You do enjoy this. I don't mind them.
Yep.
I find they stick to the teeth.
they do.
They do. But a tasty
Yes,
little
very,
snack.
very nice.
So you've crumbled those in there. So, because as soon as I said honeycomb, you just started shouting crunchy at
Crunchies.
me. Can we have crunchies? Can we have crunchies? Whatever we're doing, can we have
Yeah.
crunchies? So I was like, you do what you want me.
Yeah.
So the crunchy is lovely, lovely additional flavour.
So I
It'd be a
bought
nice
the packet of Crunchy Rocks.
Yeah.
Like they come in like a bag, and then I bought also crunchies. So I thought I'm not sure which one's going to work best. I thought just a whole crunchy just sticking out the
Yeah.
side.
Well, we can have crunchies through
So,
this.
I've got loads of crunchies. It's great.
I mean, crunchies are famously the best thing to have on a podcast.
No, absolutely.
In terms of the drink.
There are other things in there.
Right.
I should have just blended a crunchy.
Oh my god.
Really, what I should have done. And just put some milk
Oh,
in there.
yeah.
Just like a big old
But we
crunchy
could've-
smoothie.
Yeah, gone back to like kids or like high school stuff where you kind of like get ice cream and crunchy and you blend it all together with some milk and then you put Kahlua in
And
it.
then put some vodka in there.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do it, Nick. But no, podcast first.
Podcast first.
Mayhem later.
Crunchy milkshake later.
It isn't unplayed, but I'm not getting a lot of flavour.
There's one thing that I'm getting that's coming. Again, I know what's in it. But there's certainly one thing that's coming through.
There's something really strong coming through, and it's not unpleasant.
That you should be able to get.
I should be able to get.
I'm hoping you'll get that.
So is there cream in this then?
There is cream. Yes, there's cream.
Like single cream or
There's
something?
single cream and some whole milk.
And some milk. Okay, so it's a milky one.
Yes.
Okay. What is that really strong alcohol-y flavour? Is it a whiskey?
It is a whiskey.
It is a whiskey, right. Is it a nice whiskey?
It's just a blended whiskey. It's
so just a blended, so which one?
A blended scotch. I think, I can't remember what I had.
So it's a blended scotch.
There's that. There's also a lot of other shit in here.
Really? Oh, okay. Sixth sip, I don't know what this is.
3 other things, which are all completely lost. But
yeah, because the whiskey takes over, and it ain't no bad thing. I cannot taste anything else. I'm just going to randomly guess. Is there something citrusy in there? I don't think there is. No. Is there chocolate?
No, apart from in the Crunchy Rocks.
The Crunchy Rocks, yes. Lychee.
No.
Banana.
Well, that would be interesting.
Banana would be interesting.
Banana
actually.
chocolatey.
Banana chocolatey.
Banana
Goodness.
chocolate
Is there
crunchy.
something fruity in there?
No.
Fruit adjacent. A tree. The tree that the fruit grew on. Just tell me.
So there's Drambuie.
Sorry to say that again, because that you really, really emphasised all the consonants there.
Drambuie.
Drambuie.
Yes.
Yeah, Drambuie doesn't taste of anything.
It does.
Not in that.
It's a honey. It's a whiskey-based honey thing.
It's a heather thing, isn't it? It's got heather and honey.
And
it's basically they've just gone, oh no, Scotland.
Scotland, yes, it's a blend of Scotland.
And no Scottish person will be like, yeah, that's our country.
Drambuie.
Can you taste the Drambuie in that?
No.
No.
But Drambuie is whiskey-based. I think that's going to blend in with the whiskey.
The lovely, lovely heather.
And make it heathery and honey-ish. And some orange, orange spices. There's also got Galliano.
Oh, bloody Galliano.
Which coming across with a nice vanilla twang going on.
None of that.
And some vanilla vodka.
Vanilla vodka?
Making some extra sort of vanilla-y sort of oomphiness.
I did think there was vodka in this because it has that sharp alcohol taste to it. The whiskey is predominant, but I was like, no, there's something else there. There's something else. Bit of vodka.
Yeah.
Vanilla vodka. Well, okay. What do you think of this?
I mean, it's not... It's all right.
Is it mainly that there's crunchy in it that you're quite happy?
Potentially. But no, I think it's fine. I think the milk and cream make it quite a smooth sort of drinkable thing. I'm certainly not going to not drink it. Am I going to make another one afterwards? No. Am I ever going to make it again? Probably not.
No. It's inoffensive.
But it's perfectly fine for what it is.
Yeah, it is absolutely inoffensive.
Yeah.
The cream makes this. We've taken out all the other ingredients.
Well, there's like 1.5 ounces of whiskey in this.
Jesus.
Compared to like half of the other ones.
Wow.
So I think if I were to make this again, dial down the whiskey massively.
Down. Yeah.
And then
up the rest.
And then try and see if the other flavours come out of it, because it's just been blitzed by whiskey.
I'd fuck off the Galliano, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think
Galliano works, but not in this environment, not in a creamy environment, because it's quite a subtle taste.
So I think it could work with the vodka, but I think the whiskey just overpowers it.
Yeah, the whiskey's everything.
So yeah,
a bit more Drambuie in there, because I would expect to taste more of the Drambuie.
Okay, so yeah, just I think all that would be achieved by less whiskey.
Less
whiskey down.
Whiskey down.
Whiskey down.
Boozy up. Flavours up.
Crunchies more.
Well, it's because you've just thrown some crunchy rocks in here, mate, and they're quite large. They're quite large.
Do you not like crunchy rocks?
I mean, I do like crunchy rocks,
well,
but it's like navigating the ice fields and you're the Titanic.
Well, you can have a crunchy rock and some drink.
I'm doing that.
Exactly. And it's very becoming.
That was entirely vodka, I think I just drank.
I'm going to get the rest of Crunchy Rocks and just be munching throughout this episode. So
away from the fucking mic, that's what you're going to do. Away from the mic. Because if you munch into the mic, I will stab you in the face. This is a curious drink, as in I think everyone should make it. And throw in your own chocolatey, cindery, toffee, whatever it is in there. Very little about this works, however it works. Why don't you make another variation of it in the break?
Maybe.
Because we have a lot of serious stuff to get through and fun stuff. But you'll need a stiff drink.
Yeah, I'm knocking that back.
You literally have not that back. Also, all of that alcohol may kick in a bit, and this may make no sense.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm scared about.
Okay, Nick, with the wild honey, stupid name, stupid cocktail, but we liked it, and you are literally licking the fucking glass now of having finished it entirely. No more chocolate in drinks for you.
Oh, God, strong.
Yes, Nick, it's really strong. I've been trying to say that to you for the last 5 minutes. You have to stay awake, because this is a good story.
I'm awake.
I will enthrall
I
you.
may be dancing soon, but I'm awake.
With the wild honey gone, caned, are you ready for a story?
Yeah. Been waiting for bloody hours.
So for this week, Nick,
Yes.
we're going to go off to America.
Okay.
To the US of
That's not
A.
Scotland.
It's not Scotland,
That's not where John Beaver comes from. Or the bees.
It's going to be this all the way through, isn't it? Yep. We were in the USA.
Okay, fine.
Many people came from Scotland to go there. Yes, but it's the early 1900s. A new craze is sweeping the country.
Ooh. The jive.
Oh, could be the jive.
The Lindy Hop.
Could be the Drambuie dance.
The Drambuie dance.
Yeah. No, Nick, it is not the new box step or cocaine. It is radium.
Okay.
Radium craze was an actual thing.
It was.
It was.
Yes.
Radium fad, radium craze. This week, literally, we are going to visit the radium craze and the very important story that came out of that. Because science.
Science. There is some science
There's
there.
going to be science this week, and we're going to do our best. As in, I will do my best, and Nick will nod along.
I could have had a glowing green cocktail.
Well, I was thinking.
I said it's just glass of
sort of
pure
thing.
chartreuse.
You could have just had pure chartreuse. You can do what you want in the drinks break, because the discovery and veritable flinging about of radium, and I'm not kidding when that actually happened. That is what happened
It
with
was
radium.
used for a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff would lead to some truly crazy practices and products, which I will touch on, entering the market, but ultimately lead to the case of the Radium Girls.
Yes.
That is what we're doing this week, a story we shall cover, a story that's been requested few times since we started. Fascinating piece of history and poisoning. Crimes absolutely were committed, not in the usual true crime sense, but absolutely
Moral crimes.
terrible. Well, no, crimes. Crimes were
Real
committed.
crimes.
Crimes were committed. We will as ever try and find humour in pieces of the story. It is a tragic tale with some gross moments, but ultimately it's one of bravery and determination. Nick, what do you know about dear old radium?
It's radioactive.
Science.
It glows green.
Does it, though?
Yes.
Does it glow green?
Or greenish.
There's a hue to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's greeny.
Depends on what it mixes with.
Oh, there we go. Mix it with green stuff. It's green.
Green stuff. Good. Science.
Science.
That's it. That's the extent of the knowledge of radium. Did
And-
you do radium at school?
Probably. That's a long time ago. They put it on clocks and watches
Interesting.
and all manner of things.
Yes. Who discovered it?
Mr. Radium.
Come on.
So it's not Marie Curie, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Marie Curie. Marie and Pierre Curie. Definitely Marie. Marie Skolodowska Curie. You should say her Polish name, and I butchered that completely. But she did use her Polish name also all through her life. Discovered in 1898
Okay.
by Marie, and Pierre was there.
He was
a very respected,
he was
very
making
respected
the tea.
scientist. But they were studying uranium, which is radioactive.
Which is also radioactive,
And then they looked, and they just picked it up and went, oh my God, there's a whole lot of stuff underneath this. I imagine that's what happened.
Yes, that's how science works. Oh my God, there's stuff underneath.
Oh my God. It's just right there. Only the third radioactive element that had been discovered at that time. But it's a new element. They discovered another one as well. It was polonius. It's not. Radium was the important one. They were like, boring, that one. Yes, Marie Curie discovered radium with Pierre. As frequently covered in The Simpsons and everything, everyone goes, she died of radiation poisoning. Radiation-related illnesses.
Yes.
In 1934.
Many hundreds of cancers.
Interesting fact, you know her notebooks of the time, they exist, they are preserved, no one can touch them.
They're still radioactive.
They are. They're
still
so
deadly.
radioactive, they are so contaminated, no one can touch them. Which I love and scared by as well, yes. So radium, when it was discovered, very scarce, very scarce. It didn't take long for researchers to take it and apply it to everything, as was the style at the time.
Well, I mean, it's an exciting, glowy thing.
Exciting, glowy thing.
Yeah, I mean, who cares about it if it kills you? That's fine.
Well, people were using it for good in the early 1900s. They take it, it would obviously be groundbreaking in the field of nuclear physics and medical treatments, but it quickly emerged that radium could be used in a medical capacity because it will eliminate cancer cells. So for the treatment of cancer...
all cells, really. So.
It's, again, you look back and go, they were trying, and we don't know what it's like.
Everything.
It kills everything. It kills cancer. Yeah, also people. Yeah. But over time, this is the thing. It's not just immediately, it's gone. It was groundbreaking in the treatment of cancer. So when experiments with radium took off in Europe in the early 1900s, 1910s, radiation treatments kill off cancer cells. It's a miracle cure. Yeah. This is, you can't underestimate how important this was and how everyone gets hold of this idea and the idea of radium. Oh my God, it's a miracle cure without the tests being fully completed on anything and going, let's just see what the long-term effects are. Everyone's going, radium, woo! There we are.
None of that.
The other very cool thing about radium, as you've touched on, glows.
Glows.
Do you know why it glows?
Because it gives off energy.
Energy.
So why is it like alpha pot? God, I don't know what it is.
Oh, very nice. I don't know.
It gives off some particular high energy particle things. This is my physics A level coming back to me.
I mean, yours is probably better than mine. I have none of that on this little list here. Radium breaks down, so it degenerates.
Yes.
So it keeps degenerating for a very long time. Emits ionizing radiation, which collides with other atoms and molecules, and then science happens.
And then science happens.
So if you combine it with things like zinc, that's where it emits a glow all of its own. But if you combine it with other things, big glow. And then you get radioluminescence.
Nice.
Radioluminescence. It gloweth. So not only was this potentially a miracle cure, but glowy. Magic. And so everyone is going, oh, great, toxic. We'll come back to that.
Yeah,
back to that. We'll find that out in
But it glows. That's the main
time.
thing.
That's it. Well, really, at its discovery and all the experiments earlier on, people go, yeah, this is really dangerous. I had this in my pocket and now I have no pocket and no leg as well. And people go, no, stay away from it. Scientists going, dangerous. And everyone going, no, let's market it as the latest thing. The radium craze began. This is a miracle cure that can treat any ailment, and it looks so cool.
It looks really cool.
It's very cool. So, and it's also very scarce. Radium, very, very scarce. There's massive demand. The process may seem mad by today's standards, but the world couldn't wait to start getting a piece of the radium action. So doctors, legitimate doctors, using it as best they could, and a lot of quacks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of quacks started making miracle radium products for everyone to enjoy. So-called legitimate health treatments to the wildest, weirdest gimmicks you can imagine to extract cash from people. Now, most of the products on the market during the radium craze did not contain radium because it was too expensive. Because it was so sought after, it was so expensive, you couldn't get hold of it. It didn't stop anyone, because there were no rules really, going, this has radium in it, this is wonderful. So some of the things that contained radium, their products, liquid sunshine health water.
Nice.
Even better, Radithor.
That sounds very dramatic.
Or Radithor, if you want to say it, but really there's no E in there, so Radithor. Radithor, basically an energy drink. That is radium
it's going to
water.
supercharge you, isn't it?
It is, and this did have radium in it.
Yeah.
So liquid sunshine, these are waters with have a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of radium in them. They glow. Everyone is given them restorative, give you everything that you absolutely need to get through the day. It was used a lot, very famously, by golfer Eben Byers, a very famous golfer, who died of many, many cancers. Awful. He was advocating, let's drink Radithor, and died horribly. And everyone's like, oh, God, he drank so much radium. Yeah. Other things, of course, makeup.
Oh, yes, but I mean, who doesn't want glow-in-the-dark makeup?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't want Thoradia makeup? And all of the amazing Art Deco adverts of the time of like women glowing with those kind of like sunbeams coming out of them. Youthful glow to your skin in creams, but also makeup. Cool. Glow in the dark.
Very cool.
Toothpaste. Whiter than white.
And also glowy green.
Glowy green. They'll fall out. Glow in the dark cocktails, Nick.
Nice.
Actual glow in the dark cocktails. So in New York's finest bars, you would have little bits of what they said were radium in your martini, whatever cocktail they could make up. Probably not radium. There were also huge parties. MIT did this massive party called a Radium Party, and they just had everything glow in the dark. They had skeletons and stuff like that. All like, oh my God. Rich creamery butter containing radium.
Lovely radium butter.
Lovely. Give chicken feed containing radium to chickens, and they will give you fully fertilized eggs.
Delightful, they glow in the dark.
Yeah, they glow in the dark, and the chickens glow in the dark, so you can find them. Yeah, always good. You've got pottery in radium. So any of your cookware have radium infused in it, and then whatever you put in it will have the wonderful benefits of radium.
Delightful.
So it's a bit like those copper pans or whatever, like, oh, keep this in this and it will be infused with the wonderfulness. Yeah, radium. So you've got radium baths, radium heat pads, children's toys to make the eyes glow in the dark. That's not going to traumatise your kids. They literally painted the eyes so they would glow in the dark.
Brilliant.
Christmas tree lights. Yeah. Cheaper than actual lights, they said. Just put radium in your house with your family.
Be fine.
Now, have you heard of radium silk? New in your fashiony ways.
Not familiar with, no. Not
so radium silk was a thing. Had no radium in it.
Okay.
But it was the finest, glossiest, most beautiful, shimmering silk that you make underwear out of.
Nice.
And it was used, they used the word radium to encourage sales. Away from the lovely slips of radium silk, radium jock straps.
Yep.
Find me in the dark, ladies. There we are. Or teammates. Ooh. And radium, very, popular cure for impotence.
Well, you also had radium condoms.
Tell me everything.
As well. Well, no, I think I heard about these on an episode of QI or something like that. I think Stephen Fry was waxing a report about the subject, and yes, and he mentioned you could get radium condoms as well.
You could basically anything that you could put on your body.
Yeah.
Would have. I mean, who wouldn't want a glow in the dark condom?
I don't mean it sounds great fun.
Novelty. But also, it was said to be invigorating.
Yeah.
Same way with arsenic, same way with phosphorus at different points. This is going to be invigorating. It's going to give you a jolt. It's going to give you everything you need, because all people heard was that radium can cure cancer. The thing that nothing else could have done, this can do it. So if it can cure cancer, it can cure my... whatever issues. So you have that. It also could cure acne, anemia, arthritis, asthma, baldness, birthmarks, blindness, constipation, diabetes, goiters, not sure what that is, hardened arteries, headaches, insanity, rickets, tooth decay, and warts.
I mean, all the things.
All of the things.
Just everything.
So the radium craze was very much in the swing. It was very much in vogue, but there's one big use that I haven't mentioned there, but you have alluded to.
Timepieces.
Paint. Yes, radium paint for watches, clocks, any kind of timepiece, but also instruments for military use.
Yes.
Yeah. Where do you need glow-in-the-dark stuff? You really need it...
In the dark.
In the dark, when you're fighting the enemy. Or if you're flying and you don't want to turn on the big light up in the sky. The big light with a big swinging kind of lampshade. The stuff that your mum put on.
You don't need the chandelier in your new bomber.
We're just coming over the enemy territory now. Put on the big light, come on, I need to see the map. Yeah, dials of watches and aircraft instruments needed to be glow in the dark. They needed self-luminous paints, and radium provided that answer. Wow. You had that a little bit with some phosphorus beforehand, but this is now a paint that you can make that will glow in the dark. And it was used for many, many decades. Many, many decades. So enter the US Radium Corporation.
Nice.
Boo! I'm just going to say that in advance. Boo! I may call them the USRC at points, or just radium bastards. I'm biased and it will become clear.
Yeah. Okay.
So they were founded in 1914. US Radium established to produce luminous paint.
Yep.
And their paint was called Undark.
Oh, nice.
Do you like that name?
Undark.
Undark. It feels like a really good fantasy novel name.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah. But Undark. But they were producing it.
Okay.
And that is it's just making a basic paint, glue and water. Glue, it really was. It was glue and water and then just fucking radium. And then just colourings. So they were producing this, and they put in a mixture of zinc to make the glow really glow. Mm-hmm. So they created this. By 1917, they had won a lot of contracts to supply watches to the military. So all of these clock faces to the military. Huge, lucrative contract. We're in World War One. America are in war by now. They've gone like, oh, shit, yes.
We need watches.
We need watches. We need to know when we should go and join the war. So they had, US Radium had factories in New Jersey. There would be two other firms as well, Radium Dial Company and Waterbury Clock Company in Illinois and Connecticut, respectively. But we're going to focus on US Radium. So by 1917, they have this paint. They have a lot of commissions. They need a lot of workers to carry out the delicate, painstaking process of painting the dials and the numbers on these little watches. And who better to do that than ladies?
Ladies.
They have tiny hands.
But all the men are off at war.
Well, they're not all off at war in America.
Lots of them.
Just. Not okay. I'm going to say it. Not quite like Europe right now, where it's like, where the fuck have you been? It's not the ladies because the boys aren't around. It's because ladies have tiny, tiny hands and the delicate, delicate features. The factory sought out women experienced in china painting.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
These women will have been experienced in painting fine china cups, all of that beautiful artistry with tiny, tiny, fine brushwork. They needed women like that. Delicate, intricate patterns. And they're offering good pay. They're offering time in the factory. And it's a nice factory, big, light, airy. They're paid 3 times the national average wage.
Can't say no to that.
Absolutely brilliant. These are women from all walks of life who can walk in there pretty easy. And it's creative. You're getting to wield your art a little bit. They're going to work with radium. And that's the latest thing as well. It's very exciting. Fancy, fancy, fancy. The work was as follows. They would sit on their long benches in a big bright warehouse. They would mix the paints together at the workstation. They'd be given the paints, and most of it had been prepared. Obviously, the radium had been extracted from God, whatever it was. They didn't need to know. No. They weren't told. They were going, here is your paint. We've done the hard work behind the scenes. Why are all those men in hazmat suits? Don't worry about that.
It's fine.
No, absolutely fine. So here's your paints. And then you would do the layer of white glowing paint for the watch face, and then delicately add on the hands and the numbers around there. And you have to paint the hands as well. And you're using a very fine camel hair brush. Now, it's precise work here.
Yeah.
Nick, if you are someone who has done a Warhammer painting...
I have. I've painted many a small thing.
You've painted a small thing.
Yep.
What's a good tip?
You lick your brushes.
Do you lick your brushes?
Yeah.
Have you been known to lick a brush?
I have indeed.
Yeah. Get that tip nice and fine.
Get it nice and pointy.
Just to do the little decals.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly the tip that they gave to the ladies. It's called lip pointing. Just take this really, really fine brush, for people who need to picture it, put it in your mouth.
Yep.
Get it nice and fine, and then paint. Until the hairs start sort of splaying, you do it again. You dip and you do that. And everyone's asking, okay, is that okay? Well, can we consume this paint? Is the paint okay? Absolutely fine. Don't you even worry. Radium paint, perfectly safe. We've done tests. We've had experts in. Here are the reports if you need to see them. Nothing to worry about. No protection needed at all. Absolutely. Yes, I know you see the chemists and the men backstage here in this thing who are covered in iron aprons and masks and gloves, but they're handling the raw material.
Yeah.
They're handling the raw radium. But now we've sort of like extracted the science and put it into paint, creative. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry at all. Little tiny portions, girls. You don't have to have no problem whatsoever. This does give you the indication that people knew that radium was dangerous. And as I've said, we're at 1917 here. As early as about 1902, there had been reports out from the scientists who were handling radium saying how volatile it was, how dangerous it was. But still, it was all like, oh no, that's raw material, but this is paint. This is diluted down, absolutely fine. Corporations can do their own research and draw their own conclusions. So the girls not only have to work with this, but they're allowed to have fun. It's a fun place to work. They're doing their watches, and it's not like Dickensian kind of like you have to do 6 million watches a day. Here's your quota. And they're kind of encouraged by the foreman going, look, as long as you do the watches, you can do what you like. Do what you like. So they're painting their nails. They're painting each other. They're painting their teeth. Little messages or whitening whiter than white. They can do that because it's going to glow in the dark. They're putting makeup on themselves, using Undark all the time, as well as every day for a good 8 hours, putting paintbrushes in this paint and eating it. But then they're covering themselves in it. Some of the girls will wear their best dresses to work on Friday night. Or the night they were going out, their ball gowns. They would sit there and do their job because it would then be covered in the paint, the splatters of it, that wouldn't be visible to the human eye until you go out and then you're glowing. And they would glow at parties, and all their peers were so jealous of them. They got to work in this factory. And this isn't a weekend or a month. This is years.
Yeah.
Years of them being called the Ghost Girls because they could glow and flit through things. They were the happiest and they were being well paid. Everything was wonderful. Around 300 women had been hired to do the work at US Radium. Thousands more women were hired around America in different factories, and everyone seemed perfectly happy. They were perfectly happy swallowing about 100 mils of radium per day.
Yeah.
Which is the size of a small honeybee. That's not the link.
Is that not
It's not the
good?
link.
That's tenuous.
What do you think happens when you swallow radium?
I can't imagine too much good. It's not going to do your insides. I mean, your insides are probably delightfully glowy and spotlessly clean, but also probably dissolving.
Dissolving is a good word for it. So when radium is consumed, again, there are all sorts of detailed articles you could read about if you want to break down the chemistry behind it. One of the best explanations is when radium goes into the body confuses it for calcium. So it's absorbed and it goes straight into your bones and it will go into your jaw and your dental. So all of the calcium areas, it will be absorbed. And then it starts attacking. It starts attacking the cells around it. We know that it is successful in cancer treatment with massive, massive restrictions now. It will start absolutely machine gun firing all of the cells around it. There's various articles that describe it like that. It is like machine gun fire. So all the cells around it are absolutely destroyed. But it is part of your body, and it is now part of your bones and your jaw and your dental work and everything like that. And it is destroying it from the inside. So they will start being dotted by all of the effects of this attack from the radium. An x-ray of one girl's jaw would later show, famously, that it had become like honeycomb. That was the description. Honeycomb, and honeycombing is an effect, and it says that people use it. Actually, the inside structure of a bone is sometimes called honeycomb if it's solid. But it's like, not the outside, not the outside, by God. No, it was described as honeycomb. Another doctor would call it like moth-eaten effect. But that's what radium is doing. Once it's in your body, it cannot be removed. There is no cure for radium poisoning. A few years later, the true cost of the girl's work would start to present itself. By 1927, more than 50 women would be dead from radium poisoning. I think it's time for a drink.
Oh, God, yes, it's getting depressing.
Oh, yeah. It's going to get worse, Nick.
Oh, God.
Nick, we have our drinks.
We do!
You ready?
Yes,
Ready for the horrors
I know,
of radium?
it's not going to be fun.
Nope. And this section does have some gross stuff in it, which we must share.
Okay.
And brace yourself.
Okay.
We can find the humour where we find it. We are going to do that, acknowledging that this is a dark story. So around 1921, so the factory has been actively recruiting people. 1917. We've got a good few years. So you've got people who've been there about 3 or 4 years. Some will have left. But this is how long it takes of this working with radium. Around 1921 is when the workers first begin to show signs of illness. And, of course, they don't all get ill at once. It's sort of disparate things, and people start to go, I've got toothache. No one's going to draw conclusions. It's the same thing in an office. Oh, my God, we've all got the same bug or whatever. There would be the toothache that the girls were trundling off to the dentist and spending their hard-earned cash, all the money that they'd made, going to the dentist and getting examined and ending up having these really painful extractions. And the dentist can just go, okay, you're not taking care of yourself, you're eating too many sweets, whatever.
Too many crunchies.
Too many crunchies, that's what it is. Too many crunchies. But you go to the dentist in that day and age, and their solution is still, pull the tooth. Just pull the tooth, extract it, whatever. You've got cases like Molly Magia. But Molly Magia is the first example, really, that we have on record, and she is the first person who will perish of the Radium Girls as the collective. So you go to the dentist and your tooth is really, really hurting. The dentist goes, okay, fine, I'll extract the tooth. It's rotting, there's a nerve problem, whatever. Pulls it out, leaves a hole. Hole doesn't heal. The hole gets worse. The hole has an abscess. Yeah, and it's not great. And then the next tooth is really hurting. So you're like, okay, is there an infection in that tooth? So pull out the tooth there and see what happens. And this is what's happening with Molly. She was a factory worker between 1917 and 1921. And from January 1922 up to May 1922, she goes to the dentist repeatedly with all of these problems in her teeth. And the dentist doesn't know what's wrong with her. All he knows is that her teeth are rotting out of her head. She's also complaining of joint pain. She's complaining that her legs are hurting. But, it's not the dentist's problem.
It's not his job,
She's going to another doctor. The dentist takes more note of it over time. And he keeps removing the teeth and they're not healing and the pain is spreading and there's an infection across the board. And it seems that she is also suffering from anemia, all these things. And then when she comes to him for one of her last appointments in May 1922, which she's got a mouth full of abscesses. Yeah. Like, it's horrific. The dentist, Dr. Neff, reaches into her mouth and he can see through the wounds, but he can see the jawbone. And he reaches in to, examine the jawbone. The jawbone disintegrates when he touches it. It literally crumbles. He would end up being able to remove Molly's jaw with his bare hands. Just lift them out of her mouth.
Christ.
That's how degenerated it was. Molly does not live for very long.
No, I imagine not.
It is incredibly distressing. Her jaw is removed. Her lower jaw is removed. She would end up just getting worse and worse. And in September 1922, she passes away. No. She passes away from a hemorrhage. Because apparently there are so many tumours in her throat, they actually sever one of her arteries. She chokes in her own blood.
This is not a happy story.
No.
I'm not happy. This is not a happy story.
This is what will happen to her and will happen to many other people in it. Her jaw is removed from her mouth.
I just can't even imagine. That's just a bizarre thing to even contemplate.
Lift it out.
Just pull your jaw out.
And we know that happened because Neff kept the jaw. He kept fragments of the jaw because he was so thrown by what had happened to her that he kept fragments of the jaw, and they would become important, weirdly, later on. He would examine them and he would put them in a filing drawer, and he was like, I need to come back to this.
Yeah, I need to think on this one.
But again, what are you going to do? It's a bit of bone. 2 years later, he would come back to this bit of bone. He was actually looking for something else in the drawer. He had some x-rays in the drawer. He went through and he pulled out the x-rays and they were completely foggy.
Oh, because of the radiation from the bones.
The only other thing in the drawer was the bone. And he realised that the bone, after 2 years, still was emitting radiation. Just ruined
the x-rays.
This x-ray, and he would use that as evidence later on. When Molly dies, though, at that point, dentists are just going to kind of like, okay, I wasn't supposed to be able to remove a jaw. It's clear, the doctors say, syphilis.
Yes, that'll do it.
Absolutely syphilis. Yeah. That's the conclusion that they had. Syphilis doesn't really affect...
Usually doesn't.
Jaw.
Let the jaw come out.
The jaw coming out with syphilis? No. The doctors are like... And also her employers are very much like, no, it's sex disease.
Sex disease.
Sex disease. We are absolutely happy saying this woman died of sex disease. And that's what it is. And that's what she would go to her grave, and that is what was on her death certificate. And her family were left with, sorry, you're saying she died of syphilis. She's a good girl, but you're going to let that be known. And they would use her name later on and say she died of syphilis. And literally because it was on the death certificate with no founding about it, the company were very happy to shout about that. So, not great.
No.
Other girls were soon experiencing similar problems. The girls noticed that former workers or their current colleagues were suffering from the same issues of toothache, weak bones. You would get minor fractures, anemia, loss of menstruation. All of these things are emerging. One girl's spine would eventually collapse.
Oh, Christ.
Others spitting out teeth, hair just coming out of their head. The sister of one woman who worked at the factory, it was just her sister. She didn't work at the factory. She shared a bed with her. She would get radiation exposure and she would die from radiation poison later because she shared a bed with her sister. These women begin raising questions with the corporation about what is happening, and the few sympathetic doctors that they can find, they're going to dentists mostly, but then they're also going to doctors and saying what's happening, but everyone is at a loss. They don't know what is happening. US Radium Corporation have an answer for everything. They carried out their own studies and their own experts long ago, but the radium is safe. So it can't be that. It must be that these girls are all going out and they're getting syphilis and they've all got loose morals, or it's something that they're doing outside of the factory, because clearly nothing that you can come up with is happening in this factory, because the doctors who treated them remained puzzled. The only thing they could think of was that this was phossy jaw. Now, we know phossy jaw from our expert witness episodes with Catherine Harkup. Phossy jaw, affected the match girls.
Yeah.
Yep, in Europe. So you have people in the match factories, working with white phosphorus. So lovely stuff.
Delightful
white phosphorus. Also glowy.
We love our glowy things.
We love our glowy things. People who'd come into white phosphorus, they had contact with it for years. They had this symptom of phosphorus necrosis. And that's what's called like the phossy jaw, phosphorus necrosis of the jaw. We get toothaches, swollen gums, infection in the entire jaw. You've got this yellow-green glow. Okay, fine. These girls have that, so they must have phossy jaw. The company says, yeah, clearly phossy jaw, but we don't have any phosphorus in our factories, so it's not us. So it's this kind of weird thing of like, okay, they're working in this environment, but you're saying there's no phosphorus, but they've got phossy jaw, but where are they getting phosphorus from? And the company's like, we don't really care as long as there's no phosphorus here.
It's not us.
So we don't really give a shit, quite frankly. The girls are now banding together. And you have to imagine how terrifying it is for the girls, because they have been working there for several years. Some of them have left. Some of them are still there. And they start to see their co-workers suffering symptoms and getting worse and worse and worse and literally decaying in front of their eyes. Their friends, some of them are family members, whole families would work there. They're decaying and you have to look at them and go, that's me.
Yeah, this could happen to me.
There's no way out.
Yeah.
This could happen to me. They're all very hopeful for a cure. And when they go to some of the best doctors, and they do eventually, some of them get to see really good doctors. And they're like, okay, I've got a theory on what this is, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Because once radium is in your system, it cannot be removed. So, terrifying, quite frankly. There was one girl, Hazel Cusa, who went to New York, and she sought the help of a very respected orthodontist, Theodore Bloom, Dr. Bloom, and he was quite instrumental in this case, in various cases, actually. He provided a diagnosis. He was the only one who said the words radium jaw. He thought, okay, phosphorus jaw. He looked at all of the things, all the symptoms around it and said, this isn't phosphorus jaw, this is radium jaw. And he didn't, take it anywhere. Yeah. He wrote it in a journal, and it's the one written copy of someone going, well, this is radium jaw, this is what happened. But he didn't offer her a cure because she was like, okay, what do I do? And it was like, nothing. Yeah. I can make you comfortable until you die, basically. Other dentists and doctors, the people who'd seen the girls regularly, were trying to help, but they're repeatedly told not to release their information and not to do anything by the big corporation who say, well, we'll sue you, or we'll pay you, but no, we're going to completely deny this. If a report or statement comes out that is harmful, the Radium Corporation will pay to bury it or pay for their own experts to give more favourable conclusions. They had an expert named Frederick Flynn, Dr. Flynn, examined one girl, Grace Fryer, declared nothing was wrong with her. She had symptoms, it was nothing to do with radium. It was absolutely fine. Turned out he was on the Radium Corporation's payroll. His assistant was a vice president of the company.
Brilliant.
Quick fun fact about US Radium. Fumes from the plant started affecting neighbours' laundry. They were hanging out their laundry and saying, laundry's being discoloured.
Oh, God.
It's not a good sign.
No, it's not good.
It's not a good sign. They sold industrial waste to schools.
For what?
Their sand pits.
Brilliant.
And playgrounds. They sold the industrial waste as sand to put in the sand pits. The children's shoes dyed a different colour, and the kids came in and went, my hands are burning. And still the CEO of the time said, nope, it's the safest sand that you'll ever find. That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. That CEO died later of radium poisoning. He tried to backtrack massively. There's various CEOs. It's a sub thing I could have gone into, and I didn't even have time. But US Radium Corporation, the CEOs who worked for them, who did reprehensible things, and then they were let go in this sort of corporate takeover, and then they started campaigning, going, oh, they're really evil because they were trying to set up their own sub companies and stuff. But they revealed everything they did. And it's like, you literally put radioactive waste with children. You monster. So yeah, fine. If anyone had any lingering sympathy for them, there you go. More and more girls are falling ill, though, and it starts to affect business.
Oh, no.
When business gets affected, and also when the men behind the scenes start getting ill, you have to take notice.
That's the important
girls
point.
Dying over months and years.
That's fine.
Not so much. But when some of their male scientists and the people who are handling the radium fell ill, they were like, we should probably do something about this.
Can't let this continue.
Also, everyone's dying and we don't have enough people to produce stock. So, yeah, we can't actually do our business if everyone's dead. So, US Radium Corporation hung on to every excuse that they could. They claimed that they had stopped using lip pointing as a method in the factory. They'd actually told the girls not that don't use lip pointing, this is bad for you. They said it degenerates the paint. So don't do that because it's bad for the paint. Us, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. But then they could say to everyone, oh, no, we don't use lip pointing, so no one's getting sick. Eventually, the corporation go, okay, fine, we'll commission an investigation. And then, like, the New Jersey authorities say, it has to be an independent one. They're like, oh, fuck you. They're like, you need to see other people who have not worked for you. They go ahead, they commission a team from Harvard, Dr. Cecil Drinker and his wife, Catherine. They are both from the Harvard School of Public Health. They are brought in, and the corporation pretty confident, like going, okay, we can welcome these people in, and they won't see anything. Is there anything wrong there? They're very intelligent people. We'll do our due diligence. They even invited the corporation. Apparently, like on that day, they invited one of their sick workers into the factory. A woman named Marguerite Carloch. And why they did this, we don't know, because she literally had her face bandaged up. And you could see through her. It was so bad. She was not well. They were like, come in. They'll examine you, but they'll know it's not radium. And the Drinkers and a colleague attend the plant on April 1924. They pretty much walk in and go, shit. What the fuck is happening? And their reports are like, when we went in, there was a layer of glowing dust all over this place, all over the people. No safety measures. Everyone can eat and drink at their workstation. There are no protective gloves. There's no protective measures compared to what everyone is doing behind the doors. And it's a masterstroke that Catherine Drinker was involved as well. She, highly, highly respected scientist. Bringing her in meant that she could talk to the girls and said, can I examine you in a dark room? And they felt comfortable taking off their clothes. And famously, she takes them into this dark room. They take off their clothes and they are glowing. The women are glowing. Their skin is glowing. Some of them, their entire back is glowing in the dark. And it's like, this isn't coming off, girls. This is in your body. This is how bad this is. The Drinkers walk away and they send off their findings and say, yeah, there is massive radium poisoning in your factory. You need to take serious measures. And these women are getting sick from it. And US Radium Corporation look at it and go, no.
No, that sounds expensive.
Yeah, let's bury that. Let's bury that. They don't just bury it. They get the report and then they just rewrite it. And they release it to the New Jersey Labor Departments and the authorities. And they've just completely changed it. And they've said, they've rewritten it saying everyone is in good health. There's no problems whatsoever. That happened. And the Drinkers would find out about this in 1925, a few months later, because someone points it out to them and says, like, this has been released. And they're like, that's not what we said.
Star report.
So they publish their findings in a science journal, and that becomes press. And they said, no, we're releasing this publicly. And Radium Corporation threatened to sue them. And they say, no, you have to take that down. Going, this is what we fucking found. People are dying, right, left, and centre, all around them. There were other doctors as well who were helping to treat the girls, Dr. Maitland and Dr. Neff, who we mentioned in the beginning. Some of them would re-examine the dead girls as well. They would have autopsies on them. Later, they exhumed them and found them absolutely riddled with radium. And they would say, like, oh, no, they died of syphilis. No, they didn't. Nope. It takes time to take the company to court. The factory girls had all kept in touch and they had all supported each other. And this is the backdrop that's really important, as I said earlier, to this story of all of these corporations, all these various people fighting. These are factory girls who are turning around going, we are going to die. We do not have a hope in hell. Doctors have told us this, so we need to do whatever we can to get justice before we go. And the 5 girls who would be known as the Radium Girls, and the Radium Girls are kind of now a collective term, but there were the 5 girls, Catherine Schraub, Grace Fryer, Quinta Magia MacDonald, Albina Magia Larice, and Edna Hussman. They were the 5 Radium Girls who were famous in the press because they sued US Radium Corporation. It would take them 2 years to get them to court because no lawyer would take the case. Yeah. They eventually found one. By the time they got to court, the women could barely stand. 2 of them were bedridden. None of them could raise their arms in court to swear the oath. Most of them had lost all of their teeth. This is the picture of them at court. There was a physicist, Elizabeth Hughes, who tested the girls and showed that their breath was toxic. Their very breath was toxic because of the radium. News of this story actually reached Marie Curie. Apparently, allegedly, read a couple of reports that Marie Curie commented on it from Paris. She would die in 1934. But she apparently said, I would be only too happy to give any aid that I could to these girls. There is absolutely no means of destroying the substance once it enters the human body. Which is bleak. During the trial, and this is taken from a really good website, Damn Interesting, the women's lawyers were fighting really hard. The judge apparently adjourned the case because several of the US radium witnesses were on their summer vacation in Europe.
Oh,
yeah.
How very nice of him.
They were off on holiday and they couldn't be available, so we needed to wait.
Yeah.
These girls are dying. They are dying.
But that doesn't interrupt a summer holiday.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Apparently, a writer for the New York World newspaper wrote and derided the judge's decision in press, saying it was damnable travesty of justice. He would later write, "This is heartless proceeding. It is unmanly, unjust, and cruel. This is a case which calls not for the fine-spun litigation, but for simple, quick, direct justice." In the end, the hearing was brought forward, but the women decided, or it was argued for them, they took an out-of-court settlement.
Right.
They wanted to go to court, but they just we don't know how we got to live. US Radium settled for $10,000 each, which would be about $177,000 in today's money, and then $600 a year, all medical and legal fees paid for as long as they lived. The catch was the US Radium would not officially accept responsibility for what happened to them, for their illness, but the damage was done. The story was all over the press. All of the women died within a few years of the ruling. They all died in the 1930s. So however long they had, they didn't get a lot of that money, but they got their ruling. The fight of the Radium Girls in New Jersey would save countless people in the future. But there were also other factories using radium. And at that time, when the ruling was given for the 5 girls, other factories ignored it. They ignored the conditions. So you have the ones in Chicago. They refused to put in proper safety measures. They allowed workers to slowly deteriorate in the quest to make money. They told workers nothing. They didn't give them any information. If anyone hadn't read the case, they didn't update them on that. The Radium Doll Company in Chicago saw cases of radium poisoning show up in 1926 to 27. The workers were lied to again and again and again, saying the paint wasn't dangerous. They didn't use lip pointing, so they didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. It wouldn't be until the 1930s that some of the women there started to take legal action against the company. One woman successfully sued that company in 1938. She didn't really get the payout that she was due because the Radium Doll Company moved states during it, continued to trade, but moved states so they couldn't be pursued, and they didn't give her any money, and she died. She died because of their practices. While it's not a perfect ending, the girls died and the corporations dragged their feet in paying out. This case was amongst the first where a company was held responsible for the health and safety of its employees. And it was a landmark ruling, and it is so famous now because of what happened after that. It led to the creation of workplace safety regulations, government oversight for workers in the future. With the advent of World War II, radium painting was still needed.
Yeah.
But you had factories putting in far more effort to put in safety measures because it had gone from this lucrative job to the most feared job in the country.
No one wants that.
Who is going to go and work there unless you have all the safety gear, all the precautions taken? So those were put in place. Yeah. And you needed the workers for the war effort, but you needed to protect them. Their lives were not expendable. So the safety standard was introduced. Radium paint was still used in dolls until the 1970s. The last factory manufacturing radium shut down in 1978, I believe. 110 girls died that we know of from radium poisoning from those factories in total, though scores more suffered the results of it. Apparently, the last surviving girl who worked at US Radium lived to the age of 104.
Oh, wow.
And she died in 2016. An eerie postscript, though, is that the bones of the girls who died will still glow in the earth. So there you go, Nick. There is the...
Oh, this is a delightfully jolly, happy tale.
Brutal story of the Radium Girls.
Brutal indeed. God. That's a lot to take on.
Well, you have your drink.
I have my
Thoughts?
drink. I mean, horrendous. Absolutely fucking horrendous. Not surprising at all. And that's a cheap way of making some money. So,
yeah.
let's cover it up. But, I mean, good for them who stuck up for it at the end. But, I mean,
literally fighting while they were dying.
Way to go.
Yeah. And it's not a story... There's been a great book by Kate Moore, who actually started off doing a play about it. And
I was saying there's a play, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a play called The Radium Girls.
There may be a couple now. There may be a few. Kate Moore did a play. She was an actor and a director. And then she wrote The Radium Girls, which is a great book. And she did a huge amount of research. And she poured over letters and correspondence with all of these people. She really did a very thorough job. And there's other great books about it and all sorts of details. But she said, I think, when she was making the play, she says, like, this story wasn't known. For a long time, we thought about doing this story. And I was like, I don't think there's much to it. And then you sort of look at it and go, oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah. But what US Radium, one example of several, what they did, how easy it was for them to falsify reports and literally just didn't know what was happening.
Literally just rewrite an independent report.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ballsy.
Who was going to stop them? There were no regulations. And because it was seen as a happy thing and because I think the girls got sick much later, it took years for it to happen. They go, well, we can ignore it. Not our problem.
No, someone else's problem down the line.
It's a chilling thing as well to watch all your friends. No one knows how to treat it.
Yeah, and to know that's going to happen to you. But then there's no stopping it. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, bleak.
Bleak indeed. Thanks for that. Thanks for fucking up my Thursday.
There it is, but important story to tell.
Well, this is true.
People, again, those girls made their voices heard. Yeah, brave girls. It's a tough story. Tell us what you think. What do you think of the story of the Radium Girls? What do you think of what happened to them? Do you have any other stories from it? Do you have any insight? Maybe some of you know relatives of people who did work in those factories, because there were a lot of them in the US. I mean, working in a factory was terrible. It was just grim. Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your theories, your musings. But most importantly, you should probably...
Have a crunchy.
Have a crunchy.
What,
should you mix up a wild honey?
Well,
I mean, we've drunk it.
I've drunk mine. You've drunk yours.
You drunk yours in 6 seconds.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, well, I mean, mix one up. The rest will be out at some point. Or just have a crunchy.
Yeah.
Just get a big old bag of honeycomb and just plough through that. That's equally good.
Always a good idea.
That's equally good.
We didn't mix up a second one, but we would suggest, I think when Nick puts out the recipe... Maybe temper it. More Drambuie.
Dial down the whiskey. Yeah. Dial down the whiskey.
More heather. But actually, this was fine.
I mean, it was entirely drinkable.
It was fun.
Was
it sophisticated? No.
No.
Did it work? Yes.
But if you do give it a go, let us know what you think.
Indeed. Please join us on patreon.com if you want to get more from the Poisonous Cabinet every single week. Follow us on our social media channels, predominantly Instagram, TikTok is where it's at, and also YouTube if you want to listen to episodes on there. And send us suggestions of any other platforms we should be considering, or where you would like to see us, or what we can be doing when we're on there. It's good to know for 2025. We really are here for you guys, and we'd love to know your feedback. And leave us a review on Apple iTunes if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisonous Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Bye.